rather be somebody who inspires than a boss. The most difficult language is the second one. This is not a dash, this is a long distance run.
Welcome to The Big Question, the series from Euronews where we take a look at the world of business, asking the industry's biggest yet simple questions. In this episode, we're joined by Paul Bulcke, the chairman of Nestlé, to discuss if speaking multiple languages is an important skill for international business. Paul, thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you. So let's dive straight in. How many languages do you speak?
6, if I take Flemish and Dutch as one. French, English, Spanish, Portuguese and German.
That is impressive, because I like to say, you know, I speak 3, so I'm like doing pretty well for myself, but you've just blown me out of the water there.
Well, it's not my intention, but look, 6 languages. First of all, I'm coming originally from Belgium, and there you start definitely with 2 minimum, and then through all the countries I've been having the privilege of living, you take up the language, and that's how it came.
They do say once you have one language, it's easier to learn the other.
Exactly. The most difficult language is the second one. And not only for the knowledge of the language, it's also the guts to speak it. And actually, a certain healthy arrogance of speaking languages comes after the second one, because they say, I've done already one, so the third one is going to work too, and it comes naturally.
So Nestlé is a global giant. How many countries do you operate in?
Well, I must say, we have products in almost all countries, and we have, let's say, organization or people and give and take 150, 160 countries. We have factories in 90, 85 countries. We are a global, we call it. It's a global company, yes, but so local. We are very decentralized. And that allows then also to be part of the country, and I think that's the strength. We operate in all these countries because we have local employees for local consumers, adapting the flavors towards the local dimension. That's why we operate in so many countries.
So cast your mind back all the way to the beginning of your time at this company. What was your first job at Nestlé, and why was that appealing to you?
Well, first of all, you have to see how did I come in, and actually. My wife and I, we know each other when we were very, very young, coming from the same city. We want to go abroad. And I had a friend who worked for the company, Nestlé, and talking about how international and what Nestlé was doing and where, and we wanted to have a certain interest for Latin America. So, and as a result, I called Nestlé and I said, look, I have only a little bit of experience, but my wife and I, we are very motivated to go somewhere else. The first interview came over here, and then, they sent me to Peru.
Peru.
And that's where it started. Actually, a few months being in Europe to learn first what Nestlé is, because I was not working for Nestlé at the time, and to learn also Spanish, and then to Peru. And we landed there, my wife and I, together with a daughter and a son of 6 weeks old, landing. And that's where it started, and it was a journey that has been very enriching ever since, and never boring. We started in Peru, and then we went to Ecuador, then we went to Chile, altogether all 17 years, and then came over back to Europe and Portugal, then the Czech Republic, then Germany, and then Switzerland, and now 20 years in Switzerland.
You've worked at Nestlé since 1979, that's over 40 years. You've worked all over the world in a variety of roles during this time. Do you think you'd have had such a long and varied career had you only spoken one language?
No, definitely not. I think the best, if you go on a journey like I did, together with my wife from the onset, and to be part of, or to really enjoy being in a country, there is no better way of speaking the local language. And it's the bridge towards connecting well.
So since then, you've been responsible for markets in Portugal, Chile, Czech Republic, Germany, North America, Latin America. How has your language knowledge helped you in each of these roles?
If you go to a country in Latin America and he speaks Spanish, people feel he's part of us. It helps also to understand, to feel much better the informalities, the idiosyncrasies. So it makes actually that your work and what you can do and move is even more relevant with the right feeling. And I think, and that's what languages do. It's not only able to express yourself, it's much more understanding the feelings and emotions much better. And I think it's very important. Also, when you work for a company like Nestle, this is linked with consumers. So, and it is not only linked with the language, it's also linked with the local habits. So it opens all doors and makes you feel part. It creates acceptance and things. It makes you so much more effective.
Has it made you more effective at managing your staff, for example?
Oh, sure. When I lived in the countries, but that's also the company. You see, we are, as I mentioned, very local, and so management, leadership, motivation is local, and because also consumers, we live from consumers, so you better understand the feelings and the expectations of the consumers. I must say on language, I was also in the Czech Republic, only 2 years, and I tried to learn, and I could say a few common things, like good morning and all that at the time. I had to go straight away there, and the language is quite different. But then I must say, all what I said about having languages, I felt not having it. You see, I got the reverse too. Speaking to a sales force, a group of people who normally a motivating speech with a translator is totally different than just having the same language and you can talk and motivate and rally the people through a translator, totally different. So you really feel far away.
Do you think it's more advantageous to learn maybe a very widely spoken language like English or even, French or Spanish, which lots of people speak, but maybe is more competitive because lots of people speak it? Or do you think it's better to maybe try and learn a more niche language, which might make you more valuable, but maybe you'll have fewer opportunities to use it?
Oh, well, it depends on what you want to do. If you want to go internationally and with this exposure of different countries and all that it's quite handsome and useful to speak English, because that's where you have the most possibilities of connecting. If you are going to a country to stay, well, then not a bad thing to learn the language, whatever big or small. Actually, the language I always wanted to speak was Italian, because of the noise, the aesthetics, the physics, the sound, and I learned Latin at school. So
you would have been halfway there already.
No. But I never was there to live. But I'm sure after 2-3 months we're gone. It flies, you see, because again, one language helps the other language. You see, small or big languages. It's what do you want to do with it, and so I do feel where you're engaging and then you have interest to learn that language.
So I guess a big question here is, we need to think about Europe as this dense, varied linguistic landscape. So for someone wanting to work across the continent in business, how important do you think it is for them to speak more than one language?
It's very important. You can say, well, I do it in English all, and you're going to go along with that. It's going to work. No, as I said before, if you have somebody who actually the interest of learning it is already bridging a lot with the local people, because you say, I do care, I do an effort to be part of your country or your culture. Because is there another expression of culturally what people are, or regions, or than the language? And it matters. It helps. You can always get along with English, maybe in Europe. I think so. But there's so much more of engaging, trying to speak the language, or speaking the language after a while. So it's like, in my eyes, a very clear thing.
So thinking back through your whole career, are there any other advantages you've gained, you would say, from speaking more than one language?
Speaking several languages helps you to really feel at home very fast. When we travel and you hear and you connect so much easier. So social context in general, not only going to a country and live there, but in general, it helps to connect and so much easier. And the kids, the richness is also that you have your children and their children. They do speak, by the nature of the family, several languages from the onset. And there is no better way of learning languages when you're very young. I mean, you're like a sponge and you see it. And so that's also a little bit of a collateral benefit that because of our languages, the family, it has translated into the whole family.
And you have had a very long career at Nestlé. So what is the secret to a long and happy career?
Enjoying it. Seeing it as a journey, loving what you do. So that actually career is not really hard work, it is just part of your life. And that passion for what you do in a company that you can identify with on the values and that you feel, hey, you feel naturally good in there. And that combined then with your private life, in my case, having moved to all these countries and kids and etc., and finding the right balance. Yeah. In my case also, my spouse and my wife, she was partner in crime, if you want, to make this possible. We work quite hard, but it's not work. It's part of a journey, part of your life, motivated, fulfilling. So love what you do, like what you do. If you don't like what you do, try to find ways of liking it or try to find something that you like.
Before you became chairman, you were CEO at Nestlé. So do you have a particular management philosophy, or how did you try and be a good boss?
Good boss. What is boss? What is leadership? I think I'd rather be somebody who inspires than a boss. I mean, to start with. When the rubber hits the road, somebody who leads then and say, yeah, that's what we're going to do. We have to make decisions and all. And then also, I think, I've always said, never work for your boss. That sounds very strange, but work for the people working for you. Work with your colleagues. And we hope we can give you a boss that understands that dynamics and knows to value you. Because if you work for your boss, you condition actually yourself too much to one person. And actually you have only one boss. It's your company. The health and the well-being and success of your company. And so, and knowing that as a boss helps you to be different as a boss. So I think that's the right way to see it.
So this brings me nicely to my final question. So you started as a marketing trainee at Nestlé and then you climbed all the way up. So what advice would you give to other people starting from the bottom and climbing up to the senior rank?
First, know that this is not a dash. This is a long distance run. And don't condition your professional happiness with the end station. I want to be the CEO, there's only one. Condition your happiness with the journey. Enjoy the journey, and then love what you do it well, but don't be anxious always of the next step. Enjoy the now.
Absolutely, it's been a pleasure. Paul Bulcke, Chairman at Nestlé, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.